Introduction. The cracks in the foundation. Brothers, let us speak plainly about a harsh truth. The decay of a relationship is rarely a sudden collapse. It is, instead, a slow, deliberate erosion like water carving rock. When a woman contemplates or commits an act of infidelity, the change is not silent. The act itself is merely the final echo of a journey that began long before. She always leaves signs, not subtle clues for the detective, but profound shifts in energy and behavior that the man, often blinded by hope or complacency, chooses to ignore. We must train ourselves in the difficult, Stoic art of seeing reality clearly. This is not about blame. This is about recognizing the truth of your situation so you may preserve your peace and dignity. A man must not be evicted from his own heart without notice. Today, we track the 5 unmistakable footprints left behind by a woman whose emotional investment has been withdrawn. 1. The withdrawal of attention. The unseen stranger. The most immediate sign is the sudden and profound shift in her focus. Attention is the currency of connection, and when that currency is redirected, the relationship budget runs dry. Deeper explanation. This is not merely being tired. This is a fundamental deprioritization. Where once your life was a subject of shared curiosity, her inquiries about your day, your challenges, your thoughts, now she displays an active indifference. She stops engaging in the deeper, connective tissue of the relationship. When you share a story, her eyes look through you, and her replies are perfunctory, signaling that her emotional bandwidth is occupied elsewhere. The gaslighting shield. When you instinctively point out this distance, her immediate defense is often to attack your perception. You're overthinking it. You're being insecure. This is emotional evasion. She dismisses your valid observation to avoid accountability for her own emotional disengagement. A mature partner confronts distance. A dishonest one invalidates the observer.
2.
The rise of secrecy. Compartmentalizing the life. Betrayal requires a private space to flourish. A woman who is starting to cheat or who is emotionally detaching begins to build walls around her formerly open life. Deeper explanation. This begins with the small stuff, the phone that is now always face down or taken into another room, the text she deletes, the details of her day that become vague and summarized. She is practicing compartmentalization, creating a you and me life and a separate, parallel life. Her social media profile often becomes sanitized. Posts of you diminish or cease entirely, effectively presenting herself as single to the outside world, preparing the narrative for her eventual exit. The emotional magician. The process of hiding is not just physical, it's mental. She becomes skilled at deception, using distraction and misdirection. You are meant to feel paranoid for noticing the new rules of privacy that contradict the former intimacy and transparency of the partnership. 3. Mutated intimacy, the performance or the desert. The bedroom is an echo chamber for the relationship's truth. A change in physical intimacy is one of the loudest alarms. This change typically takes one of 2 forms, a drought or a deluge. Deeper explanation. The drought. Vanish, she becomes physically cold, genuinely repulsed, or disinterested. Her intimacy currency is being spent elsewhere, leaving you with the residual lack. Physical touch feels like a duty, a checklist item rather than an expression of desire. The deluge, mutate less common, but often more confusing, is a sudden, hypersexual interest. This is frequently a form of cover sex, or a desperate attempt to clear her conscience through performance. It is characterized by new, sometimes aggressive, energy that feels transactional rather than deeply connected. She is giving you the act of intimacy to dispel your suspicion, but the emotional core is hollow. You feel the emptiness not during the act, but in the sterile aftermath.
4.
The weaponization of conflict, displacement of guilt. When a person feels internal guilt but lacks the courage to face it, they often project that guilt onto their partner. The fight stops being about the issue and start becoming an emotional release. Deeper explanation. These arguments are examples of emotional displacement. She picks fights over minuscule offenses, a forgotten chore, a late text reply, a misunderstanding. She is not truly angry about the dish in the sink. She is angry at the internal conflict caused by her own disloyalty. By transforming you into the villain, the one who never listens, the one who is too needy, she grants herself a warped form of self-justification. She convinces herself that your supposed failures entitle her to seek comfort or connection elsewhere. It becomes not betrayal, but coping, making her the victim of your manufactured neglect. 5. The absent future, planning the unilateral exit. The most painful sign is the quiet subtraction of your name from her long-term vision. The future becomes a solo project. Deeper explanation. This sign is characterized by a shift in language from the collective we to the singular I. Conversations about long-term goals, buying a house, joint vacations, future career moves, become vague or cease altogether. She is unconsciously or consciously detaching emotionally before she executes the physical separation. You feel like a ghost because she has already begun her grieving process for the relationship and has mentally moved on. The Stoic response. When you observe this pattern, do not beg, do not bargain. She has shown you where her loyalty lies. It is not with the shared reality you built. A man must recognize when he is being emotionally evicted and choose dignity. A man of self-respect does not argue to stay in a house that is already structurally unsound. Classical building conclusion. Choosing dignity over illusion. The purpose of recognizing these signs is not to become a paranoid detective, but to become a sovereign man, one who trusts his gut and honors his boundaries. Cheating is never a random incident. It is a breakdown of emotional commitment that happens over time. You must be brave enough to see the signs and strong enough to walk away when they are confirmed. If you permit a boundary to be crossed once, you teach the other person that such behavior is acceptable. Do not let fear of loneliness keep you tied to a lie. Trust your perception, demand clarity, and choose peace over the chaotic drama of a dying connection. Stay awake, stay grounded, and remember, your peace is non-negotiable.